Brahmada Vindhya? Okay. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let me just summarize what all that we have done before we go to the third chapter of Mandukya Karika or Gaudapada Karika. The first chapter of Gaudapada Karika is also what Mandukya Upanishad has it, and commentaries on the Upanishad directly at that level. Mandukya Karika, the first chapter that is there, that is what is Agama Prakarana. Prakarana means actually, a Prakarana Grantha is whatever that Upanishad knowledge is there, elaboration of it, making it clear, is what is called as Prakarana Granthas. Like, for example, Shankaracharya has written this Atma Bodha, Tattva Bodha, Viveka Chudamani, they are supposed to be Prakarana Granthas. So, like that, we have Upanishad, we have Vedas, we have Upanishad. Apart from that, we have Agama Shastras, but these Bhagavad Gita like Shrutis, and then the next one is what is called as the Prakarana Granthas. That is the level where it comes to. So here also this what Gaudapada has written is the Prakaranas. Prakarana means elaboration of whatever that is there. So that's what you could see in the first one, the Prakarana, Agama Prakarana. He explains about the sutras that were there in the Upanishad. So it is like elaboration of that is there in the form Prakarana. So first Prakarana is actually the Upanishad and a few comments from the Gaudapada Karika. Gaudapada has written that. The second one is the second one is the way that the creation is taken place. This is what is called as Vaithatya Prakarana. Vaithatya Prakarana is trying to explain to you that Vitata means, Tathya means the way that it appears. It is what is Tathya. And Vitatya means what is not there but appears to be there. So that means that both these things are there. It appears, and in spite of the fact we know that it still continues to appear. So if from one point of view, from one angle, it's not there, but from other angle it is there. Like various examples he has given. The simple thing is that very classical example, crude example, which we don't really, not a regular thing for us, that today it is like, it says gold is, ornament is there, gold, you remove from the gold, ornament will not be there. There is some simple argument that they have given. Probably those days, it is very important to give that kind of an argument. So that's what he gives this here also, Vaithatya Prakarana. That is basically that there is one thing what is real, or which is existing, the Brahman. But when it comes to the manifestation level, which we all use it, and this is what is Vyavahara Tattva, Vyavahara level, that we have to have these things. So that is what is the second chapter that he tries to give, Vaithatya Prakarana. And he gives the details about this Vyavahara. When it comes to, it can be understood from so many different ways. That's why various philosophies are generated or given by people about this manifest world. And that's what we see. Sankhya philosophy is there, Vaisheshika philosophy, that all these philosophies are there. And but ultimately the way that our sages or our ancient thinkers, rishis, what they have done is that try to explain this manifest world in such a way that it will take you to the natural state, which is original state of yours, which is supposed to be the Brahman, Atma Sthiti. Atma, Swarupa, Brahma, it is one and the same thing. Whatever that explanation that I give such a way that takes towards that. That's what is the reality. And that's how basically the explanations are given in this Vaitatya Prakarana. So, in my view, that all these things are very nice, very sacred, given by the rishis, and they were useful at one point of time. But actually, what hint that we need to get from that is about 2-3 thousand years ago, that whatever the sages have seen, they have given this various philosophies like uh, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, etc., etc. Today, science also is trying to do that, but try to see that the science is directed towards that. The whole approach of science also is directed towards trying to see that what is the reality behind it, or trying to read the Atmasthiti, Brahmasthiti, Swarupasthiti. That's what is the idea, that when we live, then it's a nice, wonderful progress. But try to understand the material world outside for the sake of taking you away from the reality. Then they said that that is not the way that we should look at the world outside, manifest world outside. So that is the second aspect of it, which he has given. And another thing is that what he has given at the end of it, the second chapter, the is that in Advaita Prakarana, all that what you need to do is to identify with that Advaita Sthiti, which is there behind all those things. Yeah. And that is very important. So, which is what your own nature. So that's why he says there is no sadhana, there is no nothing. All that what you need to realize that. And that is what he says, that na nirodho na chatpattihi na cha yogo na cha sadhana. Nothing of these things is there. It is similar to the idea what last time I was explaining, that in the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says that you are the prajna, and somebody who is that prajna sthiti, you also can be there. He is also like you. You don't really have to do anything. Then he gives the whole, Arjuna asks a question to Krishna saying that, who is Sthita Prajna? Who established Sthita Prajna? Then Krishna gives the details about Sthita Prajna. And that's what Adi Shankaracharya comments on that. Whatever is supposed to be the qualities of Sthita Prajna, we need to really imitate that qualities. Consciously, we need to follow them. They are naturally there. We need to consciously do that. Like, for example, it's a very simple idea that we could think of. An adult writes alphabets and letters and all those things, doesn't even think that he is writing A, B, C, D, etc., etc. A child has to think of it, writing about it. The same way that a expert musician, his fingers just move on the veena or on the violin, just like natural things. For him, it is natural, but a novice has to observe that and follow that so that he can produce that kind of music. In fact, earlier, that when we were all children, very great violinists used to be there, very highly extraordinary, talented. And the way that he would produce the sound of violin, it used to be enchanting. People used to be really mesmerized by that. And people would see that his finger movements and all that, they follow it. He didn't want to do that. They should become his students. Therefore, whenever he used to play violin, he used to put a cover cloth on his violin where he moves the fingers so that people would not catch that. They should become his students. Fine. But Vedanta says that you just follow it. Yani sthita prajna shalakshani, whatever that is there, sadhana bhutani, that you need to just simply follow it. And that's what in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna, when he gives Advesha Sarva Bhutana, Maitri Karaniya, these are things that you follow. Yesterday, somebody was asking me this same question, that you should not get angry, but what do you do to, what should I do to get angry, not to get angry? I said, don't get angry. Simple thing. You don't get angry. I say, yeah, I don't get angry, therefore you see me, and then you also don't get angry. Nothing else to be done. You have to do something else to become like this. There is nothing like that. This is what very positive statement this Mandukya Karika gives. There is nothing like that. You need to stop anything. You need to become unnatural. Nani rotho na chotpattihi na yogo na sadhaka. So, like that, he gives that idea. So, Vitaraga Bhayakrodha, Munibhir Nirvikalpo Ahankaraha, Drishtaha, Prapanchopashama, Advaitaha. It's a very simple idea. He says that Vitaraga Bhayakrodha. Give up all this. Don't have the Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. These things are not there. Munihi, Bhavarehi, Nirvikalpaha, no Vikalpaha. That means say no unnecessary thing. I am Drishtaha, Prapanchopashamodvayaha. Tatsama तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनम् अद्वैते योजयेत् स्मृतम् अद्वैतं समानुप्राप्य जडवल लोकम आचरेत्. Be in this world, but don't be touched by the world outside. Again and again, various scriptures also say the same hint, saying that Padmapatram Vambasa. Be in the world like the lotus leaf. So that's a simple idea that he gives. The idea of lotus leaf is a very beautiful thought that somebody must have got it in the Purana, in the Vedas time. And that is for the lotus leaf that the bed and food, everything, rest, everything is there water. It lives in the water, it feeds on the water, it's born in the water, grows in the water, and all those things. But water will not stay on that. That's a simple idea that he gives. So there is no question of nistutihi, निष्नमस्कारः स्वधाकार एव च चलाचलनिकेतैश्च यदि यदि च दृश्यको भवेत्. We have come to the end of that second chapter of Karika, where he says, Stutihi, you are not looking for the acknowledgement from the outside. Then Namaskara, that means some, you know, it is your natural state. The natural state is there is nothing like you get pampered by that natural state. It's natural that is there. Uh, Probably he meant all these things for people who think that they are realized, but at the same time they have such a arrogance of realization that they have. Probably to see that you don't have to have that. That's what his suggestion that he gives. Tattam adhyatmikam drishtva, tattam drishtva tu bahyataha. This is 38th sutra. Actually, last sutra, Tattvam Adhyatmikam Drishtva, is a very nice statement because in Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter also, when Arjuna asked a question to Krishna saying that what is Adhibhutam, what is Adhaivam, what is Adhyatmam, etc., he asked a question. For that, Krishna gives an answer. Bhuta Bhava Udbhavakaraha Sakarma Sangita, that's what is the karma. Similarly, Adhibhutam Ksharo Bhavaha, whatever that Ksharo Bhava is there, that's what is Adhibhuta. Like that, he gives various definitions. When it comes to the defining Adhyatma, which and we know that Adhyatma is a spiritual journey or spiritual component of yours, he says Swabhavaha Adhyatma Muchyate. Your very nature itself is Atma, Adhyatma. Here he says Swabhava Adhyatma Muchyate. That means nature of everything. It's not your nature, my nature. Everything in this creation is nothing but Adhyatma. That's what is the basic thing. So, and such a positive statement. Even if it is Duryodhana, it is Dushasana, anybody, their Swabhava is also Adhyatma. But only thing is that they have forgotten about their Swabhava so much. That's what Krishna says in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Swabhava Adhyatma Vichate. And here he says the reality, Tattva means whatever that is there. Tattvam Adhyatmikam Drishtva. One who can see that Drishti itself, that means you have the perception. Tattvam Adhyatmikam. Adhyatmik is Tattvam. Then Tattvam Drishtatu Bhakyata. And the same thing is the reality that's there outside. Now, how do we explain this? In the case of this Upanishad, I have given this idea that of all these various philosophies, like theories that they say about Sarparajunyaya, etc., all those things, which in my feeling is that outdated. So therefore, what is the present way that we could think of it is the idea of consciousness. In fact, that's another thing I was thinking at. When do we say consciousness is that when somebody is conscious is these two qualities. That's what is the freedom and the feeling. These two are there. He gets the feeling of it and he sees the, and he has the freedom. He moves the hand. That is what we say. Somebody who is from coma, he comes out into consciousness. First thing is move your hand, hold your hand. So that means he tries to hold. That means that there is a freedom to hold it. Then we say that he is conscious. So consciousness is recognized by these two qualities, freedom and the feeling. And the same, whatever we call it as consciousness today, it's a modern world. But what is our people have said from the ancient times? Brahman is, of course, everything that is there. But when it comes to the level of consciousness that is manifestation level, we call it as Chetana. And Chetana has three aspects of it. In fact, so we all know that three aspects of it. One is Sat, and the other is Chit, and the third is the Ananda. But the moment when we say consciousness, consciousness has first two aspects of it, Sat and Chit. But Ananda aspect is not there in consciousness. It can be just mechanical. That's one of the reasons why the intellectuals, when they deal with Chetana as consciousness, then they are not having that idea of the joy, pleasantness, the beauty of it. Ananda aspect is not there. Whereas when we say Chetana, it has all these three aspects of it. Satchitananda. Sat is the existence, and that's what we say the freedom. And Chit is something which is, feeling. I said this thing, freedom and the feeling. And third aspect of is Ananda, that means joy. The happiness aspect is there. All these three things are there in the case of Chetana. But anyway, we don't have English word. Closest English word they have said to be the consciousness. So let's also say there's consciousness. But then the most important quality of the consciousness is it can give up its freedom. The freedom, the most important aspect of freedom is if I say freedom, but it doesn't have the freedom to give up its freedom, then where is the question of freedom? Freedom means that it should be able to give up its freedom. And the very common, simple example is that, yes, you have money. So I have given you money so that you use the money for anything, but don't convert the money into material. If you don't have the freedom to convert that into material, then how can you use it? You may have tons of money, but then if you cannot convert into any this thing, if you only keep it inside your walls and in the bed and all that, what's the use of all that money? It should be able to convert them. That's why money is known as currency. Currency means that which constantly moves. It flows. It should continuously flow. And that flowing is basically money loses the freedom, gives up its freedom to become lesser freedom, but lesser freedom to be utility. And again, that utility is for sake of going back to the consciousness itself. So that is the reason why how it becomes many things. Not only human being, the whole creation. It is the consciousness, Vaishvanara is the whole creation, and that gives up its freedom to become something of a lesser freedom. But though it becomes lesser freedom, it is present there. Therefore, that Satchitananda experience is there. Living experience is there because the consciousness is present there. And similarly, that freedom experience is there because the consciousness is there. And the joy is also there in that. These three things are there. Therefore, the consciousness becomes of a lesser importance. Like, and there is a consciousness element that is there. Like consciousness is the very simple example is mind can the seeing, hearing, everything is done by mind itself. If for the sake of mind we do it, but mind loses its freedom to become eyes, then eyes can only see, eyes cannot hear. Ears can only hear, and that means to say all other properties are given up and only one property it kept, that's what is hearing property. Even the eyes also, it is not that eyes can see, but eyes have limited some range into which that you can see, because that limiting makes this eyes to see. So transaction level, if it has to come, it has to limit itself. So become lesser degree of freedom. So when we look at that way, the grossest level, the solid is supposed to be grossest level, and that's what is earth. Earth is the grossest level where there is no freedom. Then Prithvi, from there we come to Apaha, water. Actually, Apaha is not just water, that which is having the watery quality. That means to say free flow is there. So that means a degree of freedom is there, and that's what is Apaha. Still, greater degree of freedom is there, that's what is Vayu. Tejas is still higher, greater freedom. And then Akasha. Akasha is supposed to be the highest freedom that we have. And consciousness is something which is greater freedom than the Akasha itself. So, what is the freedom that Akasha has? Akasha is the freedom that any other thing, like for example, it is matter or the liquid or the gases, when something else occupies its place, that it gets replaced. It moves away from there. That means to say, displacing is possible in that. Akasha is something which is so free that displacement doesn't take place. That means an object is there, said you put an object where the Akasha is there, where the space is there. The space does not occupy some other place, saying that, look, you have pushed me out of the window, therefore outside the window that I create a space for you. It doesn't happen like that. That means it gives room for any other thing to be there. Akasha itself has that kind of a freedom. That's the reason why we have the name Yatra Akasha Tad Akasha, where it is Avakasha is there, possibility is there, it becomes that. Now, consciousness is much deeper than the Akasha. That means Chetana is much deeper than Akasha. In what way it is? Chetana can give us freedom to become all these things. And there is nothing which is beyond the Chetana. Chetana is by itself, it is there. Swayambhuhu. That's what is the idea. What cannot have something which is behind that something is there, creator. That's what is Swayambhuhu. In fact, even in the case of Rudra Chamaka, we also say the same thing. He said that the same thing is what is also known as Yajna. Prano Yajna Kalpitam, Apano Yajna Kalpitam, Vyano Yajna. All these things happen from the Yajna. But when it comes to Yajna, it says Yajno Yajna Kalpitam. There is nothing else which is responsible for Yajna, Yajna itself. That means Brahman itself has become Chetana. Brahman, Chetana. Chetana itself become what is called as the individual consciousness, which is supposed to be the Jivatma. And from Jivatma, all these things have taken place. And like the way that we have human being as a Jivatma, same thing. Every other element in this creation has that Jivatma. And the Atman aspect of it, that means to say the consciousness aspect of it. In the fire, the consciousness aspect of it in the form of burning any object that's there in front of it. That's a consciousness aspect of it. And in Prashnopanishad, in Kenopanishad, it brings out beautifully, saying that, burning quality belongs to Brahman. Fire is only external object of it. Fire is like the way that we have the eyes. The seeing is from Brahman. I said that experience belongs to consciousness and experience belongs to Chetana. Eyes are only the medium through which that you are seeing. And not only eyes are the medium, but then the ability to see is also it's also the medium that is there. It is very beautifully given in the case of Kenopanishad. It is that fire, what do you do? Fire says that I burn everything. Brahman comes and, in incognito, Brahman comes and asks fire. So what are you? He said, I'm fire. What do you do? I burn anything and everything that's there in front of me. Proudly he says. Then Brahman keeps the blade of grass and then burn it. Oh, he does all kinds of things, but it doesn't burn. That means burning is being done by the consciousness, by the Chetana, not by fire. Fire is only one of the manifestations, like the way that moon is a manifestation, but what shines on the moon is for, sun only. And it's not sun is what you see, but actually sunlight is the one which manifests on the moon to light. You see, but then sunlight. Do you see the light? We don't see the sunlight. Tejas. That's what is there. Tejas. You don't see it. Like for example, in the dark sky, you see the full moon is there, shining, and we know very well that moon shines because of the sunlight. But anywhere in the sky nearby, the whole sky is so dark, nowhere that there is some light or sunlight or anything. But then it falls on the moon that it shines. That means right from the sun, right up to the moon, sunlight must be traveling. But you don't see that. So we think that we are seeing sunlight. No, we don't see sunlight. As sunlight falls on something, when the shining is there, then you see that. Same way, life falls on some object and then you see the lively thing. Satchitananda, you don't see it, but it manifests on the object, then you see that. That's the idea. So therefore, that it is Akasha, subtler than that is supposed to be the Chetana. And we are all Chetana. Not only that, Chetana is there in everything in this creation. There's nothing else is there other than Chetana. Whether it's fire, water, air, whatever that you think of it, everything has Chetana behind it. And it is that Chetana which is supposed to be the reality. But in all those cases, it is there. Same way that it's there within us also, which is supposed to be you. So you are the Chetana, which we call it as Purusha. Puri is that all these things that are there. And somebody who is using this Puri, living behind it, is Purusha. So therefore identify with Purusha, which is there behind, like the way that the Purusha has become um, the hands, Purusha has become the legs, Purusha has become the blood flow, this, that, all those things. The same way, the same Purusha, there is one behind it, became everything in this Puri also. Everything in this Puri is also the same Purusha it has become, whether it is the water, air, fire, everything. Purusha is there behind it. So, in this, identify yourself with that Purusha. Now, another very interesting aspect of it is that whatever that you identify yourself with, that the same thing that you see in the world outside also. Whatever that you identify, the same. Like, for example, if I'm an intelligent being, I look at myself as intelligent. I look at others also as intelligence. I try to measure that in terms of intelligence. So this way, basically, whatever that we experience is the same thing that is there in the outside world. So this is what is the second chapter he gives us, that though Vaitatya, Tatya is a reality, Vaitatya is what appears like reality. That's what is basically the physical world. And what is that appearing in the or within you also? It is that Turiya, the fourth state. The first chapter helps us to understand that way because first chapter gives the naming of that. The name that he has given to all these states is Om, and he explains elaborately about Om, Jagrata, Sapna, Sushupti, and then Turiya Sthana. Turiya Sthana is the silence which follows Om, then the silence that is there, that's the Turiya Sthana. So this is what is the second chapter he has given us. Now he comes to the third chapter. Third chapter is Advaita Prakarana. Advaita Prakarana means Dvaita not being there. There is no duality between these two. Again, he tries to come back to earlier also that he explained, as I was saying, that every Prakarana Grantha is to elaborate whatever that is already said in the Upanishads. While reading the Upanishads, we already read that Advaita is the aspect that is there. Everything is nothing but same consciousness. And that we have seen in the form of, like the way that the same Vaishvanara has become the same Brahman has become the Vaishvanara, became the wakeful experiencer, dream experiencer, deep sleep experiencer. All of you that you are, and you are there behind it. You are behind it in the form of Purusha. Purusha himself has become the wakeful experiencer, dream experiencer, deep sleep experiencer. But unnecessarily, unfortunately, that we again too much of importance to the wakeful experiencer, and we have neglected the other things. But by understanding the other things, that it opens up a new truth for you, a very important idea. What is that important idea it gives? The dream, if you take reality, not reject it, then you see that why you call the dream as supposed to be the short time. It's short time and it will not repeat itself. So all these things are their qualities of the dream. And when you extend it further, then you can see that the same thing applies to the wakeful state also. It's also dreamlike. Like you are taught a simple math, 2 plus 2 is 4. And the same thing that you grow big, then this is multiplied many fold. And then they say that 2 billion times plus 2 billion times. When you say that, it's also like 2 plus 2. Only thing is that it is magnified. The simple thing is that I have a light in my home, and that light is supposed to be a small little lamp that I have. But extend it further, that's what is the sun. So whatever the sunlight is there, same sunlight is there within my lamp also. But only thing is the size is small. Size is useful for me. That's what I do. The sun comes inside my house, then I cannot survive. Why inside house? Come little closer, you're already burned dead. So therefore that it has its utility. For utility purpose, it becomes small. The same way that wakeful state is a utility purpose to give the wakeful experience, he becomes the Vaishvanara, or the consciousness or the self. Jivatma becomes a Vaishvanara. Same way Jivatma became Taijasaha, that means to say Tejo Matra, what you see in the dream. And Jivatma himself becomes Prajna, that means to say solidified Prajnasthiti, Prajnasthiti. That's what is the dreamless sleep state. So when you see all these three things there, behind that you are there of all these things. That's what is the silence followed by Aum. So this is how the nomenclature of all these states is given by Om. So Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyati Sarvamiti Omkarameva. Everything is encompassed in the Om. Now it is not just only what it is given, but it is our experience also. So that's the reason why they say that meditation is to see that how I can withdraw myself from the wakeful state, dream state, dreamless sleep state, and then become one with the Turiya, fourth state. And the name fourth Turiya came because of its fourth state. Fourth state is not from that point of view. All these three states are wakeful, dream, deep sleep states. They are separate, different from one another. It is not like that the fourth state. In fact, fourth state is silence. That means to say, which can accept the wakeful dream and deep sleep state, all that. That's what you are. And that fourth state is Turiya. And that's what Prapanchopasham Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante. Advaita sthiti that is happening. It is not just only philosophy, but it is something a sage's experience, saint's experience, our own experience about this fourth state. That's what is the silence. And you are that. Once we see that we are that, then things keep changing in the wakeful state, dream, or deep sleep. But don't get attached by that. Don't be disturbed by that. It's all right. Money is there, but you lost money. But that loss of money does not take you away from your reality, which is supposed to be the peace of mind. That's why the beautiful example that comes in Yajnavalkya's life. Janaka was there at Yajnavalkya's place. I mean, Yajnavalkya was there at Janaka's place. Janaka was a king, and Yajnavalkya is a saint. And then he was giving the Bhagavatam talks, discourses. While giving the discourses, every time he looks at Janaka and looks like his approval. So Janaka says, yes, Maharshi, it's good, nice. And you see the smile and reflect go on his face. And then he feels, now let's proceed because Janaka has accepted it. The hundreds of Brahmins were there who were listening to all those things. But you know, they have this the ego. that they are superior class compared to the king, who is supposed to be Kshatriya. So when this was happening, then it seems like Yajnavalkya wanted to test these, show these rishis what is the real state, higher state, whether it is Yajnavalkya, whether it is Janaka state, or are the people who are there, or the Janaka, the Yajnavalkya state. So therefore, it so happened that, well, discourse was going on. Yajnavalkya is giving a discourses and all those things. Then suddenly the security people come running to the king and say to the king, my dear king, that the whole the what is it? Treasury is under. I mean, he says that look, all these Brahmins who are there in the tents, and the tents gutted. Immediately, all these Brahmins who are listening to Vedanta, they just got up and then ran to their tents. Oh, my little cloth is there, my little this thing is there, my kamandalu is there. They ran all the way. Janaka is still sitting there, and Yajnavalkya is sitting there. Suddenly, this happened. You see their interest. That means even though they were interested in Vedanta, but the Pandits, but their interest was lucrative. Still, their interest was on the objects that were there. So they ran to protect those things. Whereas the same thing, after a few days, that Janaka was in the Asthana, and then Yajnavalkya is giving talks, and all these Pandits were there. And the security fellow comes and announces, Maharaj, it urgently rush because basically the treasury is on fire. So treasury is something like which is supposed to be the wealth of the king. And if it is on the fire, then what else can you do? So he comes and announces the treasury is on fire. Janaka says that there are people who will take care of it, they will take. And then he calmly sat down there and then said to Yajnavalkya, please continue with your discussions. Mithilayam pratitayam name kinchit pradishyati. I'm not disturbed. Even the Mithila, why only the treasury? Whole Mithila is on fire. It doesn't disturb me. This is what is the way that not being disturbed by the world outside. We are identified with that peaceful state. It's all right, Vyavahara level, that it is there outside. All those things, manifestation world is there. So this is what is the way that you free yourself from the objective world outside. Now, here in this fourth chapter, in this third chapter, he comes to the level, he now identifies this, which I said that the consciousness or the Atman, Jivatma, or the Chetana, much subtler than the Akasha. That means basically the space. So he tries to use this analogy of Akasha to explain about the fourth state. And then that's what is really Advaita. That means there is no difference between that and this, excepting the degree of subtlety. The subtler than Akasha, but from that itself, Akasha has come. The same consciousness gives rise to Akasha. They're not two separate things. That's why it is called as Advaita. There is no second source for this whole creation. See, we always like to see the creation with duality, good and bad, right and wrong, okay and not okay. Okay is created by God, not okay is created by demon. So, like that, peace is given by God and then violence is created by the demon. So, we have two different ideas, sources from which these things happen. We are separated. Duality is the way that mind functions. Even a person who is supposed to be self realized, duality is still there in the mind. He sees that. But he knows very well that he is not attached to that duality. And that duality is for the sake of functional purpose that is there, not beyond that. So there is nothing like an enemy, there is nothing like a friend. It's all the same. Only thing is for the circumstances it is enemy or the friend, they are separate. That's why he says that Advaita Prakarana, goes to a subtler than the Akasha level, the space level, he says that. So let's go to the Advaita Prakarana, where he says that upas, upasanashito dharmo jate brahmani vartate pragut pragutpatterajam ajam sarvam tenaso kripana smritaha. Kripana is a very interesting word. This is sankuchitattva. Kripanatva is sankuchitattva. That means to say constricted or limited view. It is there for the sake of world, a limited view, but that's not reality. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna uses that kripana in the case of Arjuna, saying that kripana phalahetavaha. He says that don't be kripana, don't be conjuicy, don't be constricted, don't be restricted. We just have the open idea. My people, other people, my brothers, my this thing. What is this? Kripanatva it is. Keep a larger view, keep a wider perspective that is there. Akripanatva is the way that we have to really live in that. So Kripana in this case is the idea of that but the way that they have given this Kripanatva is the idea that humbleness, humility, that you feel that you are small. When you go to the Brahman, when you go to, you see, people, Dvaita people, it is referred to the Dvaita people. God, you are somebody who is extraordinary, who is great. I'm a small little person. I know nothing. It's all that you know. This is very important in the case of Bhakta. So, and this humility, actually the idea of Kripanatva here, it is not the question of inferiority complex. It's a question of humility. So many people, what happens is that humility, they look at as inferiority. Many feel also like that. Many treat them also like that. They are just weak, they are just humble. Then they think that weakness. This is what Vivekananda said, that your confidence is looked at arrogance, and your humility is often mistaken to be your weakness. Neither the humility is weakness, nor the confidence is the arrogance. Modi said very beautifully that when you meet somebody, say आप झुक करके बात करते हैं, आंख झुक करके बात करते हैं. मोदी से नहीं, मैं नाइदर आंख झुका के बात करता हूँ, आंख उठा के बात नहीं करता हूँ, मैं आंख मिला के बात करता हूँ. I try to see that eye to eye. What a beautiful way he says that equal. So Kripanatva is not the question of that you become weak. And many times people see that the moment that they have become disciples of Guru, my God, they become like, slaves of the Guru. It's not a question of slave. Kripanatva is not that way. They feel in fact, many times even there are so many bhajans and this and that I'm nobody, I'm this, I'm that, like that. It's not that way. Once Kabir went to a temple and then went his son. It's his son. And then Akbar was there. And Akbar said, I'm nothing, I'm nobody, I'm this thing, and he surrendered in front of God. And this fellow also says that, Kabir says that, look at him, who is nobody? The king is nobody. So if the king is nobody, you are a nobody anyway, all right. So this is not the question of that. Kripanatva is not hinatva. These are the two separate words in Sanskrit. Kripanatva and the hinatva. He says, upasanashito dharme jate brahmani vartate pragutpattire ajam sarvam tenati kripana smritaha. So here, undoubtedly, see, kripanaha is that actually, he gives a fool. Undoubtedly, many times what happens is that this Dvaita sadhana, bhakti sadhana, they look at this way that they are weak, they are meek, they look to be very surrender aspect of it. No, actually, the surrender aspect is not to be weak or something like that. You question it. That's why we have on one side, pranipatena, that means you surrender yourself, touch the feet of the Guru. In Bhagavad Gita, it says, but pariprashnena. And seva also he says, you do the pranipata, you do the seva, but at the same time, don't stop questioning. Pariprashnena sevaya upadekshantite jnana. Jnana will come only when you do the pariprashna. So it's not just only the surrender. Kripana. So therefore that it is not a question of this kripanatva, hinatva, which will give us that. Ato vakshami, because you are also Brahman. That you do. So this seva idea also it is like that. We don't have any proper English word, so that's why we use the word called as the seva means servant. Servant means you serve. Seva means service. Service, one who does service is supposed to be servant. Servant is subserving. It's not that way. We are never a servant. Equivalent to seva, sevaka, is not servant. It makes your life comfortable. That's the only thing is basically the idea of seva. It's not a servant. A seva is one who makes the life comfortable so that you get the benefit of it. Somebody who is higher level, doing higher activity, I just help him to see that he will not have to come down to the lower level to perform the lower activities. That's the idea of the service that we have, seva that we have. Ato vaksham akarpanyam, the karpanya. See, there is a karpanya doshopahata swabhavaha. When Arjuna says that, oh, how can I kill my grandfather, how can I kill my teacher? They grew me up, etc., etc. He says like that. When he says like that, in that, when he says like that, you can hear the sound that how he feels very meek and weak and all that. That's why he says, then Krishna says, Karpanya dosho pata swabhava pruchhami tvam sammasa dharma sammudacha. Your completely your dharma has been camouflaged because this karpanya dosha. Dosha is this karpanyata. Karpanyata is that you feel meek, weak. So, ato vakshami, akarpanyam, akarpanyam, that means karpanya is not there. And ajati samatam gatim, yatha na jayate kinchit jayamanam samantataha. So, therefore, what happens is certainly um, there is no karpanyatva in this. There's no question of karpanyatva, that means meekness in this. And then you are nothing but the divinity itself. You are the divinity itself. That's what it is. So, because basically what happens is that why it happens, because that the idea that he gives, the reason why he gives is that you see that the world outside is coming and going quality. Money coming and going quality, object coming and going quality. So therefore, what happens is that whatever that you have, your mind immediately goes about, it goes away. How long it will stay? Something that in fact, many people say that, particularly when the children are happily playing and um, joyful, and then we'll say, no, it's not good to be so much joyful because immediately it will follow by, he'll cry. And for some reason, after the boy starts crying, see, I told you already that he cries. And that means we are joy killers. We are against that joy. We become conscious, we become cautious. And every joy, we take it that way, as if something, it's a negative aspect of it. So therefore, they don't be joyful. Otherwise, that it will become. Don't get used to the joy, so that whatever that is less than that, you feel miserable. So that, but otherwise, joy is wonderful. Only thing is that don't get used to that joy. So we become that way, that we get used to it, we get identified with that. World is wonderful. It's like the way that food gives me happiness. Food certainly gives me happiness when I'm hungry. But I don't think that I should think that food gives me eternal happiness. No. Just because that it doesn't give eternal happiness does not mean it is important. It's wonderful. So food is no. It says that what is there in that. It's all the same whether you have this. We have a Telugu statement that is there. Annamaite nemina, sunnamaite nemina. అందుకే పాడు పొట్టకి అన్నమే పోద్దాం. Let's give the food for them. See, the person who says that everything is Maya, everything is Mithya, this thing. But when it comes to taking care of him, he needs to have all those things. Nothing less should be there. It's hypocrisy. So neither you have to be a hypocrite. Not you have to deny that. Don't deny that. That's why somebody said that looks once that. ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ವರ್ಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಅದು ಸರ್ ಇದೆ ಕಿಚನ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ್ವಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಮೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಡಿವೈಸಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಕಾಪರಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಜೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಗೋಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಬನ್ನಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರ ನಾನು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸರ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ ನಾವು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರ ಸರ್ 3 ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ I'm sorry. So now he gives this analogy here. Atmahi, in the third sutra, Atmahi Akashavatu. It's like the way space. Now, space is also, in my view, a smaller analogy compared to the the idea called as the Chetana, which normally we call it as consciousness. Atma hi Akashavatu. One thing is Akasha, as I said, has a freedom, occupy anything that is there, anywhere, without being replaced. Just because that you have put something in the Akasha does not mean that that space is replaced. That's what is the freedom that he has. But then Akasha itself has that highest degree of freedom at the manifest level. What is Chetana? Chetana is much more greater than that. That's what is the idea. But he says that the nearest example, nearest analogy that you could think of is Atma hi Akashavatu Jivat. Now, he gives the idea that now Akasha has got several spaces that are there. Like, for example, the space that is there in the form of, he says, Jiva Ghatakasha. In the Jiva, that means in the consciousness Chetana, there is Ghatakasha. It means that you put you have a small little pot and there is an Akasha in that. Uh, Ghatakasha and Uditaha Ghatadivat Sangataihi Jatavetan Nidarshanam. The Nidarshana is that, the outside Akasha is there, Ghatakasha is also there. And like that, there are several Akasha. You mean to say that Ghatakasha has separated that Akasha from that? It is not. It's the same thing that is there. It has the ability to occupy. Often people ask this question about so how many Atmas that were there and die and how many Atmas are born? How many people who die and then people born? Is it the same thing, same number of Atma? No. You see, at the body level, that there is limitations that are there. Moment you go to the mind level, there is no condition of number. Much deeper than that, at the ego level, that there is no condition of any number. When it is at that level, the number is not important. You mean to say that Atma level, the number is important? Number is a very local thing. Number is not that way. So just because a kumbha has got an akasha, it's not separate from the world outside. The same thing within us. Like for example, that the akasha within us and the akasha outside, it's all one and the same thing. That's why when the air is there outside, you call it as air. When it is there inside, you call it as breath. There is no question of difference in breath and air. It's all the same. People, what they say that this breath itself is prana, they call it. No. Breath is whatever that is there outside, inside what is there is breath. But what creates that movement inside, possible, the lung space is created by that aspect is prana. Prana is that which is working on the lung muscles. That's what is prana. Prana is not the air that is there outside. So this way, that essentially that air that is there outside, same thing that's there inside, we call it as breath. There is no difference between these two. And it's connected also, interconnected. They're just totally connected. It's the same thing. The same way that consciousness, you individual self, Chetana, that is the what we call it as Jivatma, is same as Paramatma. Paramatma is same, but only Jivatma is working in this, like the way Ghatakasha is working here in this. And you see the size also, it is something which is extraordinary. Akasha, the space. I was thinking that how to understand this aspect of it, how much it's there, how extraordinary it is there. You know, the example of solid matter that we think of it, how much of solidity is there, how much of space is there when you look at it. Solid matter is made out of atoms, and atoms made out of electrons and protons that we know these days. And then you see that the same model that is given in the form of atom is the same that is there in the cosmic level also, that the sun is there and the planets going around, or the stars are there on the sky. Is the same thing about the model that we have inside. That means actually you look at that Rutherford's model of atom, when you look at it, electrons are going around the nucleus in the space. And you look at that, the space is at least 1,000,000 times bigger than the electron size. That means a solid, if you think of electron to be the energy, which is supposed to be solid, the size of that is so little compared to the space that is there. That means even if you take a small little atom, the space is something like 1,000,000 times greater than the material that is there. And the same analogy is about the nature also outside. Particularly, those days I was thinking that when we used to sleep at our in our childhood days on the sky, on the terrace, and then look at the sky, some star here, some star there, distance between them is such so much, and the star is so small, it's like a small dot, and dot in between that such a big place. I said that the whole space is empty outside. The same thing is the emptiness inside. So space is everything. The space which makes it possible. When we understand that, then it's easy to accept that you are also nothing but space. Matter is something which is just only for functional purpose. Otherwise, space is something which is important. Not only within us, in the whole nature, everything is nothing but space, given by small little particles here and there, making it the different objects outside. Otherwise, the difference is not there. Ghatadishu pralineshu ghatakashadayo yatha akashe sampraliyante tadad jiva evatmani. When the pot is destroyed, ghata is destroyed, then palineshu ghatakashodayo tataha. That means it just becomes where the akasha becomes one with that. Akasho sampraliyante tadvad jiva ivatmani. So therefore, basically, we are also here for a small little purpose. We are in this particular thing, but the moment it leaves, it becomes one with the akasha itself. So individuality is for this purpose of functionality. Individuality is just for the sake of functionality, but not really. Like, for example, eyes are there for functional purposes, that's what to see. Ears are there for functional purpose to hear. Same way that for functional purpose that you are, a limitedness is created within you, but otherwise that you are unlimited. Ghatadishu pralineshu घटाकाशेदयो घटाकाशादयो यथा आकाशे संप्रलीयन्ते तद्वज्जीवा इहात्मनि. How many people have come and gone? How many generations have come and gone? And all these things. What is the impression that is created on this earth? There is nothing. And earth itself will not be there. How many different such planets have come and gone? Not only planets, look at the way that even the stars, which is supposed to be the sun is one of the stars. Even the stars come and go. They also don't exist anymore. They become one with the Akash. For a temporary purpose, a star has come. By the time the light comes from the star to us, the star itself may not be there because such a long distance that is there, it travels for so many light years. By the time the light comes to the earth, by the time that you see the earth light, the star position there, the star itself is not there. It's such a short period of time. It's only for the functional purpose that you are here. So that functional aspect is the divinity. It's neither the space nor the object which are important. As I said that this limitedness is created for the sake of functionality. Eyes are there created for the sake of functionality. Ears are there for the sake of functionality. The same way that it is the functionality purpose that the creation has taken place, the function is important. The reality is not in the subject, substance outside, but the functionality. Functionality is what you do. So let me give you this analogy, the same idea. In the Dvaita Prapancha, in the duality that when we applied, particularly the God aspect of it, when they say God and surrender aspect of it, Bhakti Yoga, the question is not the question of whether God is there or not, is that God real or not, are you real or not? All these things are important, but what is more importantly, functionality. The functionality we call it as the God is not important, godliness is important. Divine is not important, divinity is important. And that means to say, in my life, I can manifest the divinity, I can manifest the godliness. Then only that I'm thinking of God, I'm praying God. And that's what is the idea of duality. That's the idea of the Dvaita Prapancha. Dvaita Prapancha is not just to visualize that God is there and then God bestows the grace on me and this and that. And it's not to create that feeling that my God is more important than your God. My God is greater than your God. Can you see the difference between your God and my? See, all the time this is what is happening. Because of that reason only that all this bhakti movement all over the world has lost its credibility. And when that lost its credibility, that's when all these Vedantins take advantage of it. Bhakti itself is something which is non-credible. That's the reason why we had peoples like Ramakrishna from South came, who also said about Advaita Vedanta very clearly, but at the same time, he was the bhakta behind it. Such great bhaktas that we came. Idea is that it is not that God that's important, it's the godliness that's important. Not the divine that's important, but the divinity. That means it's not the grace, that means basically is not somebody bestows me a grace important, but my humility. That's what is important. My surrender, that's important. यथैकस्मिन् घटाकाशे रज्जो धूमाभिर्यते न सर्वे संप्रयुज्यन्ते तत्त्वज्जीवा सुखाद्भि. One of the parts may have its face spoiled by smoke, dirt, or anything like that. That does not affect the space in the other parts. Yes, definitely, whatever that is there within you, aspect of it, it doesn't affect the others who are there. Similarly, one individual self may experience pleasure or pain. Other individuals here are, however, not touched by that. Yes, sarve samprayujjante tadvajjiva sukadibhihi experiences. It does not mean that experience is the unreal. The idea is that experience is real, experience is important, but it is your experience. Like the Sukhadishu experience, that what he talks about, the same way that the aspect of the divinity, the aspect of the spirituality that you feel, it's important for you. The other may not understand that. How many people at the time of Mira have recognized the greatness of Mira? Not many. She was thrown away from that. The same thing happened with everybody, that they did not see the divinity. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, so many people used to come to him. It was a very nice incident, that it came to know that Ramakrishna sees divinity, he sees the God. Kali he talks to, and then he grants whatever that people require. So that's why so many disciples used to come. Slowly, what happened? Genuine people who used to come for sadhyatma sadhana, like Vivekananda or Brahmananda, and all these people, they were there. They were coming. Apart from that, there were flock of people who used to come to Dakshineshwar, Ramakrishna's place, because he is God, talks to God. We also have the other religions also, that God's messenger is Jesus Christ, and then Allah's messenger is Muhammad. So all these things, the same way that they also thought that there is one God, the Kali, and then Kali's representative is Ramakrishna is there. He bestows anything that you ask for. And then there are people who want that kind of a favor. They used to come, and it used to happen that the place of Dakshineshwar, hundreds of people used to come, more than 150, 200 people used to come. Suddenly one day it so happened that Ramakrishna fell down and broke his hand. And he broke his hand, then immediately the hand was in the sling. 90% of the people stopped coming here. If he's God's agents, how could he break his hand? He is an ordinary person. He is not. Ramakrishna used to laugh. I said, just this is like a filter. Uh, one of the Ramakrishna's disciple, he asked Ramakrishna that Nagmasha, he says, Thakur, earlier so many people used to come, but after your hand is broken, then you see that only 30, 40 people we remain, the rest of the people do not come. Ramakrishna said that's what is the sieving effect. That means they sieved away all those people who are not really genuinely coming here. Yes, they come that far, some far, but that's all, it does not go. That's why Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatasistayat. Out of thousands of people, some people come in there. But out of that, kaschit kasyasep siddhe kashin mam vete tata. Even there also only few people will come realize towards the God. This sieve effect is there. For that, all these things are created. But ultimately, what happens is that, as most important aspect in bhakti, that what sees that it's not the God that's important, godliness that's important. Let's try to manifest that. And that's why he says that it can manifest because you are yourself the God. There is no other outside of it. Upanishad says, Tadeva anupravishya. Tat Srishtva, he created, and he stays within us. So you look for the divinity within yourself. That's what is Jivatma. That's what the idea of Upanishad says. I'll stop it here, continue this third chapter next time when we meet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Anybody, any doubts?
Many books, many commentaries, they have condemned the Dvaita. I feel so bad about it. Whether it is Shankara, whether it is Vyasa, when they created this thing, it's not to condemn the Bhakti movement or Dvaita movement. I feel There is samanvaya that's important. Recently, I came across an article where, because these people, they condemn the Dvaita like that. There's one devotee of Ramanuja, Madhva devotee. Oh my God, he has written an article condemning, abusing, not just condemning, Shankaracharya. So all those things. See, that's what is the market again became like the fight between my God and your God, or my theory and your theory. All these things have happened. Very unfortunate. I just feel very bad because your philosophy is Advaita. That means the other is not there. But then are you, who are you fighting with? Who are you fighting with? Because you say yourself is Advaita. That means second is not there. They fight with the Dvaita. Looks very bad.
Yeah, Namaste Raghuramji.
Namaste, Vijaya. Hmm.
Yeah, so in the beginning, you were talking about the dream state also, right?
Yeah.
Now, there was a participant who
Hmm.
is a little disturbed because she had a bad dream.
Yeah.
So, how, how do we, focus on the dreams, or do we, sometimes we get affected if there is a bad dream. So, how
Yeah.
much importance do we give to dreams?
A dream has two important aspects to it. One is the content aspect to it, and the other is the emotion behind it.
Okay.
So don't look at the reality of the dream, look at the emotion behind it. That means to say, somewhere that you have fear, somewhere that you have some arrogance or jealousy. Because of that, it reflected in the dream. Dream is,
Okay.
it just picks up content just to project that. Because you see, you
Okay.
can't have just anger without an object. So you
Mm.
pick up an object in the dream and then show your anger or show your fear. That's all.
Okay.
Beyond that, we should not make use of this dream.
Yeah, see, her
Mm,
mother is suffering. So
mm.
she is working at the same time looking after her mother.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she
yeah.
is, she feels that the whole day she is busy, busy doing this, doing that. So, at the end of the day, she's tired, and,
Mm.
so she says sometime in dream, I feel, where am I? What am I doing? So she has all these
Questions.
things coming up in the dream. So
Mm.
she's also worried about her mother's health also. So she is saying how sometimes she's also disturbed by the sleep. I mean by the dreams, but she also feels that should I really be bothered about the dream? So two ways
No,
she is.
the dream, who am I, where am I? These are questions that are there. But more important thing is the dream comes in such a way that you have neglected, therefore that your mother died. This is the guilt feeling is very much there. Particularly the people, and you are talking about somebody here, but I've seen a lot of people who are in the West. They constantly have this guilt feeling that I'm not by the side of my parents. Old age, that's something like that. Even if they are not old age, they are not sick or something like that. You say that something happens. If I were to be there, it would not have happened. And I'm away from my parents. So like that, lot of people have this feeling. It's not, it's also again, not because that whoever dies, it's his own, her own karma that they die. But the people who are living people think that, it is because of me things happened. Because of me she died. Because of me she's alive. Both these things are there.
Then
That
how
I
do
am very
we
important.
then how do we tell her that not to feel guilty?
Because basically you are not important. What are you important to see? Why do you place yourself to be above the level of creator and dissolution and all that happens? Trimurti. You said that if you would have you were there, you would have stopped it. That's why Vivekananda's example is there. He was looking at the Devi's statue, and the head was cut off and there by Khilji. And then he said, my God, what is this? If I were to be there, I would have protected you, the statue from the Muslims, Mughals. Then immediately got up. In a dream, he has heard that, my dear son, who protects who? Do I protect you or do you protect me? You think that you are protecting? Your parents have been going on there. That's all. Huh. If something like you have compassion towards your parents, much beyond. And then you can think of it, all right, I can survive with less amount of money being in India. I give my job and come to India, be with my parents during the last days. It'll be a wonderful time. A lot of people have come down to India like that. Parents are sick, therefore they came down. Take care of parents, fine. But from people who are there, did not come back also, they have other means to come out of their feeling that they are away from parents. Morning and evening they call and talk to them and these things. It's common. Some means or the other you find out to see that you can strike a balance. It all depends upon your own nature. What way you strike balance.
Thank you.
Sir, Ranji, if time permits, I'll ask, otherwise.
Sure.
Yeah. Actually, you were saying, I mean, of course, the atomic theory is like where the space
Space.
is million times more than the electrons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So literally everything is made up of atoms, right? I mean, including the laptop before me, everything.
Mm.
But when the space is million times more than the whatever the gross
Yeah.
aspect of it,
Mm.
but still we only see the gross aspect, right? I see
Yeah.
it as a laptop. I don't see the space. Is
Right.
it because the limitation of the functionality of my
Yes.
eyes, or is it
Right.
limitation of my knowledge?
No. Limitation of functionality.
Functionality of
See,
the
but
eyes.
knowledge may be there because we all know that Earth is going around the sun. We all know very well. Knowledge is nothing less than that. But we say that sun rises and sun sets and all that. So it's functionality. That's the only thing.
Okay. So if I have much sharper eyes or some instrument to see, whatever, probably I'll see. I mean, that's
No,
the all
rather
this
than
microscope
that,
and all.
see, in fact, the moment that you say sharper than eyes, that's what is consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. But
the,
in
the
this
eyes are
crossword,
formed. That's why I said, gave the idea also. Eyes do not have an ability to see. Eyes see because that they have an ability to see, but eyes are limited to see, limited by so many things. Given a small little band to see, that's why you see it. A sound is there, everything in this nature, but your ears do not catch all the sound that is there. A small little band
range,
of
yeah.
sound, that's what you hear. So basically, the moment that this band is not there, you are consciousness. That's
So
why I
is
said
it
that
like,
uh,
yeah.
consciousness gives its freedom up, narrows it down so that the indriya is created.
So if I can see that, probably,
Hmm.
it's like this whole entire whatever being is a single being, not like the laptop is different, the pillow,
Right,
the house is
right,
different,
yes.
right?
Your perception is that, and that is where you see that everything is nothing but Brahman. And Upanishad student says that Isavasyamidam Sarvam. That means he's seeing everything as Brahman itself. He's able to see that. When Prahlada says that, where is uh, Hiranyakashipu, where is Vishnu? I said, everywhere Vishnu.
Yeah, he
Everywhere
reached
Vishnu.
that state where he can see
Yeah,
the
right.
consciousness as consciousness. Yeah,
Can you show Vishnu
yeah,
in
I
this
got.
pillar? My God, everywhere Vishnu, can you show in the pillar? How foolish that question is. Prahlada laughed. Arre Baba, I'm saying everywhere Krishna, Vishnu is there. And show the
So then
Vishnu
the
in the.
functionality of the eyes doesn't matter anymore when we practically
Yes,
with
yes.
our sadhana
Ha,
reach that
functionality
level.
is only for the sake of function. That's why it is called as
Yeah.
function. For the sake of function, you use it.
Hmm.
But deep inside, you don't use that for any beyond that. See, people want to functionality also. You see something which is beyond also with functionality. That means that they want to see God also with the same eyes. No, the eyes are limited anyway. Can't see God with these eyes. That means I
So
want to
that's where
bring
the
in.
sakara aspect came in, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
It's an
Thank you,
experience.
sir. Actually, it was very insightful today's this atomic theory and this correlation
Hmm,
between.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why Krishna says to Arjuna, look, with these eyes you can't see me. Divyam chaksha dadami. But then that chakshu you cannot keep it. See, even if I show you, you can't see it. And you'll say, no, in spite of it, I want to see it. Okay, I'll give you Divyam chaksha dadami. And then, 1 second, Arjuna says, come on, take it away. Here, just imagine that your eyes are bombarded with 1,000 suns light at the same time. Sahasra Surya, and then many sahasra, Bahu Sahasra Surani. That's what is the sound. Says. Come on, take it away. I can't see this.
So actually,
Poet,
this is much more advanced science if it has to like evolve to that much
yeah.
where some Divya Jakshu can be like, produced by us, like actually.
Hmm. That's one of the reasons why, you see, science takes away something from you, gives something else. Like, for example, it gave you a telescope to see the far off planets and skin.
Yes.
But the telescope, you cannot see something which is nearby. It takes away something.
Microscope also, smaller things and
Yeah, microscope also gives us ability to see small things, but big things you will lose it. Through microscope, you can't see that.
that is a limitation of science actually.
Yes, that's the limitation of science. I mean, just imagine what an extraordinary, wonderful, in spite of all this limitation, what God has given us something which is extraordinary. Your normal eye can see something at the same time you are reading some book, but at the same time somebody is coming from a 100 yards away. You can see him. Both these things are possible. It's extraordinary creation. That's why. Hmm.
Raghuramji, just one
Yeah,
thing. Now, taking Vijaya ma'am's example, what she was talking about earlier,
yeah.
it's all play of freedom and attachment,
Ah,
right? Because
right,
the more we are in wakeful state, it
hmm,
is like constriction of freedom. But when we go to dream state, and furthermore, it is more expansive, right? The freedom is much more to express, whether it is anxiety or
yeah,
joy,
yeah.
anything. So
Yes,
as we go to those states, it is more subtler. There is more expansive
right.
freedom. And when we are in the wakeful state, it's more of manifested, and that is why it is like attachment is more, the constriction, restriction is more. Is this
See,
understand?
very simple thing.
Hmm.
In the wakeful state, your space is limited.
Hmm.
I mean, you are in this place, that's all.
Hmm.
Whereas in the dream state, the space is not limited. You are in Bangalore, next moment you are in Delhi, next moment you are in America. See, actually, you see, the limitation is gone. For some different purpose, that limitation takes away, takes you all over.
But here the sublimation also, I mean, acts a big way, right? I mean, like you say, seeing the things and whether it is emotions, feelings, the way it is, like the
Yeah.
pain, anxiety, or anything, uh,
Hmm.
we are just seeing it, like whether in wakeful state or in dream state.
You don't.
If this thing that and just be there, that this is happening, but you don't get attached to it. That is more unburdening and state of
Right.
freedom. Right. Oh. Mm.
That is very true. In fact, extension of that particular position is what today's discussion that I said that when you are able to manifest the divinity,
Correct.
see, godliness, that is subtler aspect of it. In fact, that comes later on in one of the sutras. I mean, it came in Prashnopanishads very beautifully. It says that godliness is something that is very important, not the God. It says Deva, Daivatva is important. In Prashnopanishads, fourth Prashna, very
Mm.
beautiful discussion that goes on. Says that. That's the subtler aspect of it. As you said, dream aspect, subtler aspect is that.
Mm.
Now you see further extension if you go. If you really get caught up with this Daivatva than the God, then the Daivatva gives manifestation to God.
Mm.
Like for example, an actor who is playing the role of Rama, an actress, my own niece, playing the role of Rama, I'm only seeing Rama there, not her. I said, my God, she is fully Rama there, standing there, because the way that she is. That's how it becomes like that. So what is that? Now I see Rama, because that Rama quality that is there, Daivatva is there. Now that became reality. That became the reality.
So beautiful. Very nice. Loved the session today.
Right. It's such a beautiful, elevating point that Upanishad brings about. But people use that for the sake of fighting with each other, blaming each other. I feel sorry about that. Right. We'll close it down. Thank you so much for a beautiful discussion.
Thank
And
you.
Sridevi, bring out
Thank you.
discussion. Don't hesitate. Huh? It's very important.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I was worried, like, yeah, I'm consuming your time, like it's
Oh,
already.
no.
I have a few
See,
more dots, but in the next class, I will.
right. Okay, we'll close now. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Raghuramji.
Thank you.
Thank you.